So it was so exciting to be here with you. I had a chance to make a little video with Paul earlier, and we were reminiscing about the early days and some of the things we went through. And we're running at the speed of light sometimes. We don't get a chance to look back. And I'm so grateful for what this opportunity has done for me. So Paul asked me just to share a couple thoughts about some of the breakthrough moments that I've had at Family First Life and what's kept me going. So that's one thing that you hear a lot of producers say. Some of the commonalities is just don't quit. Don't quit. So I didn't have to worry about quitting because I'd already been somewhere else and failed. And when I came here, it was like a very unique situation because actually it was an interview. Well, when I first met Paul and Andrew, it was supposed to be an interview that we're having, and it turned out to be like a meeting, but maybe 7 people in it, in like a tiny little room, and everybody had these clappers, that make noise like, hey, woo, do, 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 do. And like they were literally yelling at the top of their lungs, like celebrating, like I wrote, 2 policies this week, and so needless to say, I had no plan B. And the only thing that kept me around really was that I was so sick of my job, and it paid well, but the boss was giving me. I was stressed out. I was getting an ulcer, and when they said, come to an interview. And I was like, Paul, and I dressed up in a 3-piece suit too. And Paul came, Andrew didn't come say hi to people, but Paul came up and said, nice tie, man. We need more guys like you. And that shows how desperate I was. Like, okay, I'm in. So I think one of the things that I had to realize is that, it wasn't about me. And that was the hardest thing to get over for the longest time, because I constantly was thinking, what's in it for me, and what's wrong with these leads, and why do I have to spend this much money on it, But I think the one thing that helped me get through it was the fact that, I never lost track of the sense that I had to treat it like a business. Treating it like a business is very important. I knew it was like very, 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 apparent that I was really negative. And I had a lot of baggage, but I had to be able to put it aside and say, look, if Paul could do it, I might have a chance. If Andrew could do it, I might have a chance. Because they were really young at the time, 20, 19 years old. And I was like, man, if they're prudent enough to come from minimum wage jobs and reinvest in themselves and have faith in themselves to do this and then get to that level where they're making more than I was at my paying job, they were doing really well at 21 years old. I was like, that's something worth following. So I had to, rearrange myself. I was already like in my mid-40s. I had to put my pride and back. I was like, yes, Paul. Yes, guys, what do you got to say, And I just followed in the footsteps of the next person. And I think that was another thing that really helped me, was seeking out course correction. Because I thought I knew it all. I was like, phone script, yeah, I know how to make. I'm a top salesman. I know how to get on the phone. And obviously, it was a totally different ball of wax. So I'd show up I'd dial teams, and I'd be like cussing and yelling and screaming and smoking and what's wrong with these leads, man? What'd you sell me? And I was like, I was really mad. And Paul says, yeah, okay, hand them over here. So I give him a stack of these. It was before the internet, just hand him a stack of leads, and he start calling and start booking them one after another. I was like, okay, I should probably sit down and shut up right now. So I just got back to basics and really followed the pathway to success. And I wasn't afraid to reach out for success, for advice either. When it was time, every time I'd get into a home, I'd be like, if I couldn't get a hold of this person, I'd get a hold of that person and try to get the proper risk assessment so I could give myself a running head start, right? And then things started getting traction, and then it started really coming to fruition. And then one thing happened to me was, one year they said, okay, you're going to get up in a group like this and talk for everyone. And I was like, okay, what's my topic? Great, I'm so excited. And they're like, how to hit Hall of Fame. I was like, I can't do that. The most I've ever issued paid is maybe half of that. I was like, you're talking to the wrong guy. You should probably go talk to Mark Mead or something like that, And they're like, no, that's what you're going to talk on. I was like, okay. So if you can't tell, I'm a real skeptic. I'm a real realist, and I've been through so many hard knocks in life insurance that, I just wasn't very optimistic. But Paul was the one at such a young age that got up and said, hey, do self-affirmations, get in front of the mirror and speak life into your business. So I was like, yeah, right, that's kind of corny, but literally, I changed my attitude and I stopped speaking. I used to always speak negativity in my business. They would go around the room and say, "How much did you do, Rochelle? How much did you do, Paul? How much did you do, Trey?" And they say, "How much did you do?" I said, "I only." I'd always started off like, "I only." I'm already talking myself into a hole, and I had all kinds of baggage, negativity and skepticism. It didn't help me at all. And I was like, okay, so now it's a new day. I'm gonna start speaking life into myself. And then I literally took Paul's advice, and I got in front of the mirror and I go, "I am a top producer." I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me, man. This is ridiculous." So I would do that once in a while. but it really started coming to fruition. And that was the year that I actually did hit Hall of Fame. So I was really excited about that. And then really the big breakthrough moment, really the biggest breakthrough moment, and I think everyone should strive for it, was, I think it was like it was really hot, and I was under a tree, and I was taking a break, and I was like sitting in the car for like 12 hours, because we didn't have internet leads back then. I'd have to get in the car, drive 6-7 hours each way, and spend the night, and leave my house at like 4 in the morning, and my back was hurting. So I got out underneath a tree, and an apple hit me on the head. No. No, and I was like, and then suddenly, and it wasn't, I don't want to scare you, but it wasn't like 6 months in, it wasn't like a year in, but like a little bit further down the road, it was like, aha, I don't have to worry about this anymore. Because up until that moment, I was so negative. I was like, man, how much did I have to spend? And how much did each lead cost? And how many people hung up on me? And how many door knocks do I have to do? And how much gas is that? And I'd count, the miles per gallon. And it was really depressing. But that one moment, came one day, I was literally standing under a tree trying to catch some shade. I was like, man, I do not have to worry about this anymore. I had gotten to a level where hard work and persistence had paid off. And I was like, okay, leads in, appointments out. Leads in, appointments out. And thank God it was a profitable situation at that point. Thank you. And that was like my real breakthrough moment. So I think everyone needs to know that there is a greater glory, if you should say, at the end of the rainbow if you work hard for it. I know that sounds kind of corny. That's Paul talking. But if you work really hard and you get to that point, man, it was like the whole thing got lifted off my shoulders, and I was not nervous anymore. I didn't worry about chargebacks. My back stopped hurting when I was driving. I could drive further and further and further. I could drive 6-7 hours each way and have like 10, 12 appointments, and of course I get no-showed 5-6 times, but and I'd be able to do it and then do it again and do it again, and I started doing it every week like clockwork, and it felt really good. Then I started really like taking a whole new attitude, and I stopped talking to people, and I started listening to people. Because it took me a minute, because I'm the kind of guy that walk in, I'm trying to posture everything, which is good. You want to be able, because I'm naturally a real passive person. So I had to initially train myself to be very assertive. Like, oh, well, you probably, hey, well, you fill this out, because, correct me if I'm wrong, you want to make sure if you die, you don't leave a burden to your wife. I had to train myself to say stuff like that. It was very unnatural. Then, when I got to that point of confidence and clarity, I could pull back and actually listen to what they were saying. And they were telling me what they wanted and what they needed. And I was able to go in and treat everybody like my uncle and my auntie and my cousin. And they felt that too. They felt it, because, I wasn't weirding people. I used to go and weird people out. Like, oh, what does this guy want, And then it became much more natural. And then we would share conversations and share stories. And that was really an enlightening experience. And you talk about freedom of schedule. That's what any insurance company is going to tell you. Freedom of, financial freedom and freedom of schedule. Another breakthrough moment happened to me, because here I am. I'm like, gotta go make them, I don't want to make the donuts. Gotta go make the donuts, get up every morning, drive so far, have so many appointments. And then one day, I sat down with this couple, and they were well into their 70s. And they were so welcoming. They literally had coffee and tea service and all these beautiful little desserts out. And I was here to help them protect their house. And their health was so inferior that, there wasn't much except a little piece that I could give to them. And then slowly the desserts start coming off the table. And they pulled the teapot back, and they were like getting ready to send me on my way. They were getting ready to send me on my way. And then I realized that they each had a very special policy that they had gotten from another agent many years ago, and they were paying a top dollar for that for so many years, and they didn't even realize that they had like a massive cash value each. And and they were already getting really frustrated with me, but I was like, man, now I have the time and I have the knowledge to help these people, and I had like 10 appointments in front of me. So I just stopped everything I was doing, and I literally called the company with them, and it took like 4 or 5 hours to set the thing up straight. Like literally from top to bottom, I laid out all these charts for them. I was like, I did new illustrations for them, and I set it up right. I was like, look, you're never going to have to pay for this mortgage again, and they're going to start paying you money. And it wasn't my client, and it wasn't my business, but, and the rest of my day was basically, I had to reschedule everything. But that was, for me, a breakthrough moment. Like, I have some little knowledge about what we do to help families that, even though it's not my situation, I could stop and help these people, And then it started happening more and more, I was able to help this woman with life insurance, and as I was about to leave, she just looked at me like she wanted me to stay. And then the guy delivered all, and she couldn't even get up and go to the grocery store. So this person delivered all these groceries, so I just left it at her doorstep. So I could start helping her. I was like, I felt so free and easy. I could just help her bring all her groceries in, and then turns out her cable TV wasn't working because the plug, and she didn't even know. And I didn't know anything. I'm not handy. My wife does all that, But I realized, the cable was broken. So I went to the store. I bought her a cable. I came back. I fixed the cable, and she was like, and I was like, it was such like some of these personal moments for me. I had another guy that didn't even know he had a thing called a waiver of premium. That if you go disabled, and his health was on the rocks. It was on the rocks. Like, he was not getting better. And his policy was from a company that only sells terms, and it was like, it had 2 weeks left on it. And they got a letter from the company. And that's why they called us, That's why he called me, to see what we could do. And so I was able to take the time and stop everything I was doing and like get on the phone and set it all up. And we realized, yes, not only would this person not have to pay for the policy anymore, but it would just extend for the rest of their life. And, and it would go beyond the typical cancellation date just because they had that little thing on it. So it was just moments like this that really helped me realize that what we do for people is very impactful, right? And then that's the thing that really drove me forward. And once you have that burden of chargebacks and hang-ups and frustrations lifted from your shoulders, now you have the power to go spread that knowledge, And that's when I started trying to build an organization, because I tried for a long time, and you go through the motions, like babysitting people and trying to micromanage them. Hey, Rochelle, you need to get on the phone. What time do you get on the phone today? Were you on the dial team today? And I went through all these challenges doing that, and it was very fruitless, But I think the thing that really helped me expand was that then I started understanding some of the principles that people like Trey and Paul have been sharing with us, how to expand and, how to properly task manage the people on your team. Because, if caring is important, but making sure that people become self-dependent is also very important, right? You have to have, everyone has to go through these battles individually, And as much as I like to stop and say, hey, JP, it's something like this and it's something like that, there are some things we can tell you, but there's some things you just have to experience on your own. So that's a very viable part of what we do. And, just having that personal experience and being able to overcome those challenges are the things that really help me to try to give back to some of the people that we share this opportunity with. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.